Hey guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about the review of the ICD-10-PCS book from OPTUM360 Coding. This is the 2021 version. It's very similar to the 2022. I just don't have the 2022 with me right now. But for demonstration purposes, this is just going to review what the PCS covers, why I like Optum. Again, it is very similar to the 2022 version. This is just the 2021. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. Okay, guys, continuing on with the back to school, back to the basics series. I did the ICD-10-CM on Monday. I did the CPT professional edition by the AMA on Tuesday. Today is Wednesday, and I am going to be reviewing the ICD-10-PCS book. Now, ICD-10-PCS covers inpatient procedure coding. All right, this is something completely different from the CPT procedure book. If you are taking a CCS exam, a CCA exam, or and that's through AHIMA, the American Health Information Management Association, or if you're taking the CIC exam, the Certified Inpatient Coder with AAPC, this book is for you. So this is approved. The OPTUM360 ICD-10-PCS, the spiral version, okay, is the book that is approved to take for AHIMA, I know at least, and I believe that AAPC allows for your choice of publisher. So if that's the case, then this is clearly okay. You just want to make sure that it's going to be the current year that you're taking your exam. If it's 2022, then make sure that you get the 2022 version. All right, so we're going to go over some of the beauty parts of this book. I love Optum and I trust Optum. This is not an ad for Optum, but I recommend Optum books all the time on my channel. Everybody knows, if you watched more than one video of mine, how much I love OPTUM360 coding books, because they are so filled with such good information, and really they took the time when they wrote these books, and so I really love it. We're going to go ahead and begin. All right, not tabbed. We've talked about tabs. Do not tab. I'm not going to keep going about that. But here we go. So we have our table of contents. It's going to start off with what's new in 2021. If this was 2022, it would be what's new in 2022. So it's going to start off with like the changes, the summary of changes, and then the introduction, and then going on. So here's what's new. And this is basically going to go over any sort of changes to the book, anything that got updated, it's going to be here. All right. So that's all of that. And then we get the introduction. The introduction is going to talk about the structure of ICD-10-PCS. Now, if you are coding for the inpatient side, and I am not talking about Profi, because automatically my outpatient coders think of, oh, Profi? No, we're not talking about Profi. If you are coding for the inpatient side of the house, you're using the ICD-10-PCS book to code your procedures. You're not dealing with evaluation and management. That's the trade-off for coding inpatient. The thing about coding for inpatient procedures is you have to know about DRGs, MSDRGs, and you do have to know about sequencing of the procedures. It can really change the payment amount if you incorrectly put in the procedures in the incorrect order. So make sure that if you are studying this book, that you understand that. You understand MSDRGs, you understand all of that stuff, because that all plays a part in this. Sequencing of procedure codes, sequencing of diagnosis codes is always very important, regardless of wherever you're coding, but never more important and more impactful than coding for inpatient. All right, so just keep that in mind. So here we go with the introduction, and they really do mean for you to read these things. Now, this is going to be covered in your coding program if you are studying for the inpatient side. It is going to be covered, but it does help for you to do supplemental learning as well. You know, your instructor may or may not be the most hands-on, unfortunately. There are a lot of instructors out there that are good, and then there are a lot of instructors that are not so good. And so I'm just being honest with you guys, because you're going to find out either way. And so sometimes, you know, people are good, some people are not so good when it comes to teaching. And not everybody is meant to teach adults either. There is a difference when it comes to teaching children versus teaching adults versus teaching people to independently learn. And not every instructor has been taught professionally how to teach adults. Teaching adults is completely different from teaching children. If you have been an educator for any amount of time, whether you teach adults or children, you know exactly what I mean. I have been an educator for adults for many years now. That I've taught providers and everything. I've taught providers about medical coding. I've taught nurses about medical coding. I've taught other medical coders about medical coding. And to know that you're teaching other adults, you have to change your mindset, because adults learn differently. And once you know as an adult how to embrace new learning styles that are fit for adults, now you're going to be cooking with grease. So here we go. So ICD-10-PCS, here's the tabular index and tabular format. It's going over this. It's explaining this to you all, so that way you can kind of understand, right? And then PCS additional features. Now, you guys have heard me before say about referring to ICD-10-CM or ICD-10-PCS. This is very important. It's a details thing, and it's a personal details thing, but yeah, I think if we all can get on board with being very clear about what we're talking about, I think it's going to save a lot of time and energy. All right, so always refer to ICD-10-PCS as ICD-10-PCS. Okay, it's talking about the annotation box, the bracketed code notations. It's giving you all this other information here. It's breaking down what the appendixes are, and it's going into all of that. Then we have the ICD-10-PCS official guidelines for coding and reporting 2021. Now, if you are using the 2021 right now to practice with, right, until you get your 2022 book, you can always download the current ICD-10-PCS coding guidelines for coding and reporting from cms.gov has them downloadable for free online. And so that way you can read the latest coding guidelines from the internet. Okay, you don't necessarily have to look at this, all right, but it does give you the breakdown. It does give you the coding guidelines for using PCS. It's very short. Look, that's how short it is. It's just a few pages. All right, what is this, 4 pages? Yep, it's just 4 pages. Well, 8 if you're counting them front and back, but you know, that way you can be ready. If you are studying ICD-10-PCS, I strongly, strongly recommend that you read those. All right, here is the index. Now, when it comes to the index and ICD-10-PCS, they get sneaky. So for me, a removal in my CPT head is a removal, is a removal, is a removal. Not so when it comes to PCS. It's completely different, all right? So make sure that you understand the verbiage, all right? Do you understand what extirpation means? Do you know what removal means? So make sure that you understand, and you can find that in the beginning, all right, when they're talking about all those definitions. But here is your index. Now, some you will find the beginning of the code, and sometimes you will find the whole code, the whole 7-digit code. And if you do find that, then you don't have to look it up in the tabular section, okay? You can literally take it from the index. And that is something that goes against a lot of what we have always been taught, but it is true for ICD-10-PCS. If you have the whole code there, you can take it from the index and code it out that way, okay? So that's just one little quirk. I told you ICD-10-PCS is a little different, okay? But if you are training for the outpatient side, this is not going to pertain to you, but you can still listen along. You may one day want to go from having either a CCSP or even a CPC to the CCS. And if that is the case, this is going to be one of the things that you're going to have to know how to use, okay? So this is something that you may want to go ahead and pay attention to. Now, it's going to give you the whole index. I do recommend just flipping through the index and looking at the terms so that you can get used to the terms. You can know, what to look for and things like that. You don't necessarily have to start messing around with the tables, but you do have to know kind of like what to expect and where to find it. And it's going to get you familiar, okay? If you're doing this one thing at a time, you're not going to get overwhelmed. It's people who want to do everything all at once, and I have to know this and I have to know that, and they're not concentrating on one thing, they get overwhelmed. So I'm telling you, if you take a Saturday and you look through the index just of your ICD-10-PCS book, and then you put the book away, and it's going to sink in a lot better than if you're trying to sit here and scramble and look for all these things, all right? Here goes your tabular section. So these are all your tables. Now, some people have said, well, if you know the table you need to go look at, you can certainly start from there and then look it up in here in the tabular section. And that's fine. Some people have gotten comfortable. They know exactly what table to go to. They know what body system it is. They know, the surgical approach. They know all of these things, so they go right to the table. Again, if you're still studying and you don't understand, start with the index, all right? But it goes through all the sections, and they're all here labeled in colors. And so just something for you guys to know, you have to be really, really good with your anatomy. When you code PCS, you have to be stronger with anatomy than, not saying that you don't need it for CPT, because you certainly do, but more so here because it's more specific, I think. You know what I'm saying? And so with CPT just kind of has a code and then it covers a bunch of things. Here, because you're building the codes, because these can be specified, right, into different sections, that's why it's even more important to understand your anatomy. At least that's just my advice anyway. Okay, so it's going to go through here, all through the sections, all the tables and everything, where it starts, and then, your body part, your this one is contrast, qualifier, and then qualifier. So this is in the imaging section. All right. Then we have nuclear medicine. But I want to get to the appendixes. Physical therapy, physical rehabilitation, and diagnostic audiology, new technology. And again, it's worthwhile for you guys to look this stuff up, okay? Look at it, review it, get familiar with it. When I studied for, the CCS exam, this was one of the things that I did. I studied every night after my show with you guys. I studied for an hour. And the one time that I went over an hour, I went an hour and a half, nothing was sticking and I got tired real fast. So always only go for an hour, stop, give yourself a break, okay? At least 30 minutes to an hour that you're studying at a time, but don't go over that 1 hour. Take a 15-minute break. You can even take a half an hour break and then get back to it. Do the other half hour, do another hour, whatever you want to do, okay? But break it up, all right? Here's Appendix A. When the appendixes are very important, no more true than here too, right? So we have components of medical and surgical approach definitions. So again, it's very important to know those types of things. Appendix B is the root operation definitions. Again, this is very helpful when you're studying to know and understand what does detachment mean, what does dilation mean, what does division mean, what is drainage. It's all here. Okay, and then we have root operations for other definitions for other sections. Okay, this is all part of Appendix B. Appendix C is a comparison of medical and surgical root operations. Okay, so again, a lot of these things are very good for you to know. Appendix D, body part key. So if they're talking about the adductor helix, why did I pick one? I have a hard time with. Okay, what about abductor brevis? Abductor brevis muscle. It's referring in the PCS value is referring to the upper leg muscle right or upper leg muscle left, right? And then, you know, it goes on for all the different other places. So an angular artery is also known in PCS as the face artery. So this is very helpful, okay, if you ever get stuck. And it goes through all of the body parts and things like that. Again, why I say knowing your anatomy is very critical for inpatient coders, okay? Then we have body part definitions. What does this mean? The abdominal sympathetic nerve. This includes the abdominal aortic plexus, the celiac ganglion, the gastric plexus, the hepatic plexus, and it goes, all of these right here are included in the abdominal sympathetic nerve, okay? So that's the PCS value. That's what that means is when you're looking at that table, you may or may not see these words, but you'll see this word. And we know when you see this, it's referring to all of these here. Okay, so very, very good. So that's Appendix E. Appendix G is the device key and aggregation table, all right? So if you're looking at specific brand products, it's giving you the brand product name, and then it's giving you the PCS value, ICD-10-PCS value. So there we go on that. Knowing those brand names, you guys, this is why I tell you to watch surgery videos as much as you can. Listen to the names of the products they're using, so that way you can be more familiar. Even if you're not coding for same-day surgeries, you never know if it is imperative that you know this information or not. So just a little side thing for later on after you pass your exam, then you can start looking at those things and understanding. This is the world you're going to be in now, so you may as well get used to all the things that you have to know. Device definitions, again, for Appendix H. Appendix I, substance key and substance definitions, all right? So there's all of those and what PCS section it falls in, what is the value for it. J, sections B to H, character definitions, it's giving you all of that.